All right, Rick Spielman, Tyler Sullivan in the mix here to break down some of what we did see. And let's begin with the Eagles, who just about 10 days ago were this unstoppable force and an immovable object, guys. But here they look human once again, although it does come in a win. Rick, I'll go your way first here. It is a W, and when you're in that situation, do you essentially wipe clean what we just saw and say, hey, 9-1, let's move forward? Or are there things that do need to be addressed here immediately?
Yeah, no, I think that they're playing well. Today, the one thing that I did notice and I wanted to see when they were down and behind, Jalen Hurts, was he good enough to bring them back on the road against an inspired, I should say, Indianapolis Colts team, and what a job Jeff Saturday's doing. But they've always been, when they were going undefeated, they were always leading or controlling the game. This is the first time that I've seen Jalen Hurts actually on the road in a tough circumstance come back and lead that team to a victory.
Yeah, I'll echo what Rick said just there. It is credit to Jalen Hurts to be able to will his team back on a game where they really had no business of winning against the Indianapolis Colts. As crazy as we may say, they had no business winning against the Jeff Saturday-led Colts, but that's exactly where they were. 3 points going into the fourth quarter, really uninspired football. To me, the biggest issue for this team over the last few weeks, and that includes the loss against Washington, but you can even go back to that Thursday game against the Houston Texans, they seem to be playing down to their competition. They get kind of beat up a little bit in terms of running the or stopping the run. You saw it with Jonathan Taylor a little bit today. You've seen it over the last few weeks, whether it's Brian Robinson or you go all the way back to Dameon Pierce. They are getting moved around a little bit on the defensive side of the ball. They need Jordan Davis back on that defensive front. He's somebody that is going to be critical for them in the postseason when he gets back healthy. But like you said, credit to Jalen Hurts for able to get that 14 points in the fourth quarter, score that go-ahead touchdown. To me, that's encouraging when you see the development, the continued development of Hurts. But to me, the bigger picture question about this Philadelphia team is, are they able to extend? Are they able to use what their talent ceiling is and go and beat up against these bad teams? So far, the last few weeks, they kind of play down to that competition.
A win is a win, and they are 9-1 on the season, which is nothing to scoff at here, Tyler. But you mentioned it there. The way you win against lesser teams might tell you something about the road ahead. So with that in mind, what is the message from Nick Sirianni as he tries to get his team to play back to that ceiling that they've already established being a very high one?
Yeah, no, it's just getting back to a better rhythm to start these games. I mean, we've talked about it a bunch. This team was unbelievable in terms of scoring, particularly in the second quarter, but it did take them a little bit longer to kind of get started, even in those games. And it just feels like whatever that magic was in that second quarter, it's kind of fizzled out a little bit. And again, to me, it's stopping the run on the defensive side of the ball, giving your offense as many at-bats as possible to get down the field and get into the end zone. But for me, it's just getting back to their roots. Obviously, running the football, getting everybody healthy. And that's one thing that's a big thing with this offense. This is their first game without Dallas Goedert, who has become a huge piece to this passing attack for Jalen Hurts. They're still figuring themselves out as to what they are at this point. Obviously, A.J. Brown was banged up last week, too. I don't know if he's 100% for this game either. So for me, that's the biggest thing. Get healthy and ultimately try to find that rhythm earlier in games so you get off to faster starts.
Yeah, and just to follow up with that, they went out and signed Linval Joseph. They went out and signed Adonam Suh to try to shore up that defense until Davis comes back. But when Philadelphia is the deadliest is when they can get that big lead and then let them pass rushers go after the opposing quarterback and then game over. But they have to solidify the run defense. They tried to do that with the 2 signings this week to hopefully put a little Band-Aid over that defensive front versus the run until they can get the Jordan Davis back.
All right, we got plenty of other action to bring your way here as they're coming fast and furious. We'll have all the highlights here throughout the hour as we take a look at the fantasy performers here out of this less than stellar Eagles performance, but 9-1 is 9-1. Jalen Hurts held under 200 yards through the air, did have 1 touchdown, rushed it for another 86. And it's interesting, if you look at some of those dominant performances, Hurts is turning into more of a pocket type, and the rushing yards had waned, and here's some struggles as he does amass near 100 on the ground. Matt Ryan and Jeff Saturday's Colts just not doing enough, getting edged out by 1 point here as Jonathan Taylor leaves plenty on the table for fantasy managers as well.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.